Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Play Arts Kai Mass Effect 3 female Shepard figure. Now this one is generally a better looking figure than the male Shepard, and I'll post photos of them with each other at the end of the video. But she still definitely has her share of flaws. It seems that the Mass Effect era of Play Arts Kai figures, they're kind of in between design styles, I think, and we ended up with some kind of questionable choices, but still it's a pretty nice looking figure for the most part. As you can see, it looks pretty much just like it does in the game, so it's kind of cool. And just so you can see a size comparison, they're not really to scale, because female Shepard is almost exactly the same height as male Shepard. You would expect her to be a little bit shorter, but I guess that's okay since it's kind of a custom character design anyway. She stands almost exactly 8.5 inches tall, so she's a fairly short Play Arts Kai figure, fairly small, but that's okay because they're not meant to be in scale with other Play Arts Kai figures. As far as accessories go, we have the SMG, which is really well done. It looks just like it does in the game. Nice detail, nice paintwork, looks cool. We also have a rifle. Again, looks really cool, very well done. I like it. Nice combinations of silvers and grays and things. And then we have the Omni Blade, which is orange translucent plastic with a little bit of this yellowish white painted on for shading. And we have interchangeable hands. We have the two fist hands, which are really well detailed. Two fist hands. This one has the stripe on it. And then we have the two gun hands or trigger finger hands. And she can hold the weapons fairly well. The fingers are a little stiff, so you may want to warm them up before you get the try to get the weapons in there. As far as the sculpt on this thing, they did a really good job. You can see all of that texturing, kind of looks like chainmail or carbon fiber, kind of like a reverse basketball design. Really cool looking. Very, very well done sculpt on these figures. That's probably the best thing. And her head is actually a really good likeness to the standard female Shepard. It looks pretty darn good. As opposed to this one, which really doesn't look anything like him at all. So this is definitely a much better looking figure for the most part. If you're going to just have it stand on the shelf, this is easily the one to get, especially since Square Enix tends to do a better job with their female figures. This one is no exception. It definitely looks better than the other Shepard. Paintwork is pretty well done also. I don't really see anything that stands out to me as being a problem. Everything looks alright. The face is a little bit shiny, but not so much so that it's a problem. I think it looks pretty good overall. Now let's talk about the articulation. The head is on a double ball peg on top of the neck, and the neck is on a double ball peg as well. But due to the hair sculpt being kind of tucked in with that collar, you can really only get a little bit of a swivel. You're not going to get much else. That's really it. So it's a little bit, not a little bit, it's quite limited. So there's something to note there. Now the shoulder pads, they appear to be on double ball pegs, so they can move around a little bit, but they still hinder the shoulder articulation severely. Very, very limited. This side is not as bad as this side, it seems. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe one of the joints is stuck internally. I don't know. But very, very limited. You pretty much just get a swivel out of it. But it does have the butterfly joint. So, I mean, the articulation is technically there. It just doesn't really work too well. We have a bicep swivel here at the top of the bicep armor, so that's good. Standard elbow hinge, ratcheted ball hinge. So we have that, and then technically it can rotate at the top and bottom. Same type of joint for the wrist. The ab crunch, or the diaphragm joint, is much better on female Shepard than male Shepard. It works pretty well going forward and back, side to side. Rotation's a little bit limited, but you also get that in the waist down here, so that's fine. And then we have the ball peg that goes into the lower torso for this articulation, which works pretty well. She's kind of skinny, I think, because this is supposed to go up higher to fill out her midsection, but it doesn't really look like it's supposed to, so she still ends up looking really thin in the waist. So we have this floating crotch piece that I just mentioned, and it works okay if she's standing just right, standing perfectly up and down. And it looks fine for the most part, but you can see it's starting to be a little gappy back here, and that becomes even worse when you articulate the figure. That is no bueno. You can see right through the figure. That's not a good design choice. Just really not so good. And because of this design where the hips go really high up, they had to cut out a big chunk of the torso to allow for that. And then it still gets in the way quite often, so your limitations on the hips are also pretty severe. So the hips and shoulders, definitely not ideal. We do have the ratcheting side to side, forward and back, and we have a thigh swivel technically in there. It doesn't really work that well though. The knee is actually the same type of joint as the elbow, so it's just a ratcheted ball hinge, and it tucks in and looks fine like that. And it actually doesn't look too bad like that either. It's probably better than the male shepherd knee that is the old style of the Square Enix Play Arts knee joints. But it still only gives you a little bit less than 90 degrees, so pretty limited. And then lastly, the ankle, same as the elbows and wrists and knees, so nothing there. We do have a swivel in the foot for an ankle rocker, but it's not necessary, so I would say just leave it and use the ankle joint to give you your ankle rocker. That'll work much better than this swivel right here, which is ugly and unnecessary. So it's definitely an okay looking figure. It looks good, and I suppose once you get it in a pose, you can make it look pretty good on your shelf, but don't expect it to be one of the most usable figures out there. It's got enough limitations to be a problem, even though it still looks pretty good. So if you're into Mass Effect 3 and you really like Female Shepherd, go ahead and grab it. I mean, it looks good, but don't expect it to knock your socks off. It's not great. So stick around for some photos at the end, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.